Well, India's national capital is among the most polluted cities in the world, despite a raft of measures to curb the problem. Last week, the local government tried to ban cars above a certain age from being able to refuel and ultimately be impounded. But days after the implementation, the policy's been put on ice. To tell us why, I'm joined by Amit Bhatt, India Managing Director of the International Council on Clean Transportation. Amit, good to have you on the program with us. Firstly, can you tell us what exactly was this policy and plan that the New Delhi government was trying to introduce?
Yeah, thanks a lot. Again, just to give a bit of a perspective, it was in somewhere in 2014 that the National Green Tribunal in India asked for banning 15-year-old vehicle in Delhi. In 2015, this ban was extended to 10-year-old diesel vehicle. And then in Supreme Court in 2018 reaffirmed this mandate. Later on, the Ministry of Road Transport and Highway in 2021-22 issued kind of a notification around it. But all this started in 2023 when the Commission on Air Quality and Management actually ordered a kind of strict enforcement against end-of-life vehicle. And it included multiple measures. It was in June 25 that the CAQM mandate of refusing refueling of this vehicle, which kick-started, and that's where a lot of news has been going around. So it's a pretty old directive, but the refusal to refuel vehicle is something that has caught the media attention now.
Yes, so why did they implement this, suppose this aspect of the policy that you say has been around for quite a while, over such a short span of time? So in the end, my question to you is, why did the government then decide to scrap it for now?
Absolutely. So when the vehicles get old in India, there are two, so for example, Delhi and NCR region, there are two options to the owners. Either they can get the vehicle scrapped, or they can get the vehicle deregistered from Delhi and maybe registered in somewhere else. Now, what has happened is that not a lot of vehicles are getting scrapped, and vehicles are getting deregistered from Delhi, but they are not getting registered elsewhere, which means these vehicles are plying. Even though it's an illegal operation, it is happening. And that's why this order came to kind of stop refueling of vehicles so that implementation becomes active and these vehicles don't ply on the road of Delhi and NCR region.
Yes. I wonder, do you believe that this might be a bit of an overreach for anyone that's got, a 10-year-old vehicle, a diesel vehicle, or a 15-year-old petrol vehicle who still wants to keep them? Why is that such a big issue? Because, people do drive cars that are 15 years old.
So you have to understand, Delhi, one of the big issues that Delhi struggles, and this season will start, is the whole issue on air quality. And there are multiple sources for air pollution. Transport is a predominant source. But what we have to understand that transport is a source that emits all around the air, not on an episodic basis like farm fires, festivals, so on and so forth. So transport is a major cause of emission. And therefore, cleaning of Delhi air has to include transport. Now, what we have seen is that older vehicles have much higher emission threshold, and therefore they emit a lot. So we did a research and we found recently that a BS6 vehicle in kind of Delhi NCR, which is equivalent to Euro 6, almost emits 80% less compared to a BS4 vehicle. So newer technology vehicles emit less, and therefore there's a drive to kind of redo the mobility mix in Delhi NCR and bring newer vehicles on road.
Yes, and do you believe perhaps, right now it's been put on ice, this policy, but do you think this actually has merit, and do you want this ban, I suppose, to continue as soon as possible?
So actually, it's officially not been put on hold. So the Delhi government has written to the Commission on Air Quality Management to consider it. The CAQM has not really withdrawn this offer. And as I said, it's a very long list of legal action that has resulted in this. So officially, the policy is happening. Now, the big issue is implementation. Now, you have to look at multiple ways of this question. So there are certain figures like 6 million vehicles are getting impacted. I mean, that's really not the case, because in India, when the vehicles are registered, they're always in the system. So there is no way to kind of, so when the vehicle meets an end of life, you don't really remove from the system. So it's still there. So that's one. Secondly, what we really found was that recently Delhi has about 500 automatic number plate reading cameras, and these NPRs found that it's not 6 lakh, but almost 5 million, 6 million vehicles, but actually about close to 500,000 vehicles which are there, which are plying on Delhi road, which are beyond end of life.
Yes.
So I think it's not really that big a vehicle segment, but again, 500,000 is still a large number, and that needs to be cleaned up.
Yes, I mean, particularly when we see in the winter season, November right through to January, February, we see the smog really become thick every single year. So is there anything else that the city is doing to tackle the smog problem, and has it been successful?
No, I think the Delhi has been looking at multiple sources. So as I said, there are two parts of the air pollution puzzle. So one is what happens in the winter time. So winter time, one is the atmospheric condition, coupled with farm fire that happens, along with certain festivals that contribute, which really kind of elevates the air pollution. But you have to understand that Delhi's air pollution is not a winter problem, it's a year-long problem. And therefore, transportation is one such source that emits all around the year. So Delhi has been looking at electrifying its fleet of transport. Right now, roughly about 11%, 12% of all new vehicles are electric. And that really needs to stem up. So that's one. Secondly, we at ICC did a very interesting research to find what are the real world emissions from these vehicles. So as against lab value against which these vehicles are tested, what happens from these vehicles when they actually run on road? And we found that real world emission in many cases are as high as 20, 25 times more than permissible limit or the lab values. So we have to really reimagine a different pollution testing regime to identify which vehicles are emitting and how do you go about treating them.
Yes, and perhaps changing consumer habits. Perhaps is there a move to perhaps encourage things like electric cars, for instance? And is the uptake how is the uptake in India so that we know what's happening there?
So uptake on electric cars is fairly slow. It's about 2% of our overall fleet. But you have to understand, uptake on electric buses has been fairly robust. Three-wheelers and two-wheelers are picking up. So electric car is one that is kind of on the slow side. And that's why I think we also have to look at this issue of consumer uptake beyond just incentives, but more from the regulations side. How can we actually force manufacturers to start selling more cleaner vehicles? And that's a big issue right now.
Okay, let's hope there's a lot of changes to come for the better. Amit Bhatt in Delhi, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.